Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. Today, we're talking about a really fun Xbox rumor because it has been floating around really since Halo Master Chief Collection. Ever since that dropped, the obvious next step for Xbox was, well, certainly you're going to take Gears of War and do that whole trilogy as well with all of the multiplayer connected, all of the co-op modes. Like, this is such a pillar for Xbox as a franchise. It just makes so sense. It sells itself. Xbox gives you Gears of 1 Ultimate Edition. Instead, we're like, okay, so we'll see in a couple years with Gears of War 2 Ultimate Edition and 3 Ultimate Edition, and then maybe we'll put all of those in a collection. We kind of get where we want to go. Well, no can do on that. But for the last about half a decade, it is floated around that a Gears of War collection does exist. The question is, in what capacity? If you already have Gears of War 1 in its Ultimate Edition form, is it really just Gears of War 2 and 3? Do you include Judgment in that? What about 4 and 5? Are they gradually added? Kind of like what Halo Master Chief Collection did, where they gradually added the likes of ODST and Reach. Today, we're unpacking a massive rumor mill for the Gears of War collection. It does appear that Xbox is actually doing it, which is the funny part of this story, to me at least, because as I was reading the reactions online, I felt like there was a leap from, oh my God, it's actually real. Like, normally that's the first part of the rumor reaction. Like, oh my God, Gears of War collection is actually real, especially after all of these rumors. But instead, just jumping to the part of the collection that could be a bit of a catch. We'll talk about it right now. I'll just say that based off what Jez Corden is saying, he's telling people that he's not sure whether it's true or not, but we should discuss nonetheless on whether or not this missing feature in the Gears of War collection would be a make or break for a lot of people. Welcome one, welcome all. If you're new here, you're into what's going on with Xbox, please consider subscribing. Let's start off with the original source of this rumor. It goes out to Detective Seeds, who put on his Twitter account, Gears of War collection should be releasing early to mid-August. It is PS5 Pro enhanced, and I've been told no multiplayer PvP. It is a campaign focus only. Obviously, this brings up questions about co-op campaign, horde mode. We will get into that, but this kind of lines up with Xbox's month-to-month releases. As you've noticed, they have been getting something out every single month. We have, say, South of Midnight and Expedition 33 in April. You have Doom in May. The rumor is Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remake in June. We just got Tony Hawk confirmed for July. So Gears of War in August would make sense to me personally. Why does Xbox want to do this? As I've said many times, this is the Band-Aid rip year. This is the year where even franchises that you know and love and deeply associate with Xbox are going over to other platforms. Why would they do this? They just announced Gears of War E-Day. They're going to make Gears like a multi-platform franchise, basically, with E-Day being a great starting point for fans. And hey, if you want to catch up before E-Day, you can play the Gears collection. Continuing on with this rumor, Jez Corden said that he was looking into the collection rumors to see if he could get something concrete either way. We'll get to the conclusion of that in a little bit, but this is where things get a little funny, and there is an inside story to this leak. Like I said, this has been floating around for a while, and kudos to Special Nick, who has lived and died by this rumor. Him and Jez have gone back and forth. Is it real? Is it not real? He's saying here in this thread that it didn't exist 5 years ago. Nick says it was 3 years ago, which makes him the ultimate leaker. And then Tom Warren says it existed when you started talking about it. So to me, this is just hilarious that potentially Nick's been right this whole time and Tom just kind of left the man out to dry. Anyway, that's kind of the origin of the leak there. Just quick origin story there. But let's get into what's going on here. Like we just talked about, no multiplayer. Jez steps in, which, no disrespect to Detective Seeds, but Jez is usually pretty ironclad when it comes to Xbox rumors. He has great sourcing, and a lot of his information is kind of take it to the bank level, in my opinion. So he comes home. What did I miss? What's the rumor? No multiplayer. And he says, I too have actually heard no multiplayer. Now, do you think it's going to be a horde mode? He was also asked, and he says, I hope so, but not sure. I'm double checking all of this at the moment. And when it came to campaign co-op, he said, yeah, co-op, but not PvP. Is what I heard. So to wrap all of this up, and then we'll discuss, Jez then says, been unable to confirm or debunk this so far, aside from the suggestion that there's some misinformation in the current rumors. I do think it would be an odd thing for any prospective Gears collection to ship without PvP. I'd say don't worry too much about the most recent rumors for now, and wait for something more concrete, but we'll see. I will keep digging. And you know Jez, we'll get something eventually. He'll slip something in the Xbox 2 podcast, no doubt about it. But right now what we're looking at is a little bit of uncertainty surrounding the Gears collection. And I think the reaction online has been shockingly kind of tame. You know, and by that I mean not the reaction to the collection itself. I think there's a lot of excitement for that. But I thought more people would be upset about no multiplayer in a Gears collection. Because if I'm Xbox and I'm, bringing the Gears collection over to Nintendo Switch owners, to PlayStation owners, and also Gears 2 and 3 to PC owners, I want them to experience what made Gears Gears. Now, a big part of that is the fantastic campaigns, the balls to the wall set pieces, but it was also the focus on playing with friends. Like, it's a game that you'll play if you've never played Gears before and go, oh my gosh, like, I didn't realize that outside of Joseph Ferris and Hazelight, there were actually companies at one point who were making pure co-op experiences. Now, you can play Gears by yourself and still have a great time, but again, if you're trying to, I think, market to a new audience who's going to eventually funnel into Gears of War E-Day, at least that's Xbox's hope, you need to sell them on everything that makes Gears Gears. Part of that was the multiplayer. Now, hey, I'll raise my hand. I am awful at Gears of War multiplayer. Terrible at it. So I will admit, I was more of a Halo guy. I did not play much Gears of War multiplayer. I was always getting two-pieced. I was not good with the wall bouncing and the floating and the cover and the movement. Like, y'all who are good at Gears multiplayer are like another species to me. Like, you are sick at video games. I am not afraid to admit I am not one of those players out there. So I never dabbled much in PvP, where I know I personally didn't care too much when I saw this, but I'm also like, again, you want to sell people on what made this such a long-staying franchise, and it was that alongside the multiplayer elements like co-op campaign and, of course, Horde mode, first introduced in Gears of War 2. This is the mode for Gears, above all else in a lot of ways. This is the thing that you'd hop into Xbox Live party chats, let's do a Horde mode run, how long can we survive, the clutch plays, the intensity, like, this is Gears. I think that would be the big miss here. If you're not doing multiplayer, how can you do online Horde modes? That would be, I think, just a weird caveat in all of it. So that's why I struggle to believe the rumor, because I'm like, if you leave out multiplayer in, say, PvP, how do you manage to do co-op? How do you manage to do Horde mode and have that fraction of the game online if you can't get the other part of the game online? Now, I think a lot of people understandably pointed to Halo Master Chief Collection. It is in a fantastic state right now. You've got all the Halo you could ask for. This is actually a technical achievement in a lot of ways because it's slipping and sliding between different game engines to run all these titles. But at launch, as many of us know, Halo Master Chief Collection was a very big disaster. And that was supposed to be the crown jewel for the Xbox One generation to really set things off big time. Like, that was the skyrocket moment at the end of the day. But what ended up happening was it was busted and was instead, to many people, the crown jewel of a failed generation for Xbox. And it always bums me out because, again, I think those first 2 years of games for Xbox One were sick. It was why I was a day one owner of the Xbox One, despite the price tag and the awful business practices. I was like, these games look great, man. So that's what I'm here for. So is it possible that Gears of War slipping and sliding just different SKUs is potentially a tough ask for a technical lift? Personally, and it's easy to, I'm in my armchair right now. We're armchair game deving. Gears of War, if we're talking just engine level, the first 4 entries in the series, in particular, we're focusing on the original trilogy right now, all run on the same engine of Unreal Engine 3. And so when you look at something like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, right, which was another game that was then hosted in Unreal Engine 5 and got all of these upgrades, I could see a world where Unreal Engine 5 is the host for these Unreal Engine 3 games. And is there a technical complication in sliding between these 3 versions? I don't know. It sounds like that would be a blessing in disguise if you're trying to make a Halo Master Chief Collection-like experience for Gears fans, which, by the way, Gears fans have lived and died next to Xbox. I think they deserve the same treatment Halo got. Is Halo more important than Gears? I would agree with that sentiment. I mean, that's why I got my Xbox. It was that and Oddworld Munch's Odyssey. Like, I'm sold. This is incredible. But Gears was able to build itself up next to Halo in what was a monumental time for multiplayer gaming, the birth of party chat, the birth of matchmaking on a level we'd never experienced before, and also Call of Duty firing on all cylinders. Like, that was such an important time. So I hope Gears fans get their due with a full PvP edition here again, because if you want to sell new fans and grow Gears E-Day to be the biggest Gears of War game ever, you need to, I think, show the whole experience of what makes Gears Gears. Fortunately, Jez is not fully firming that up, but just in a conversational level, I really want to say I hope they find a way for PvP. Otherwise, I'm just of the belief, and maybe you disagree, and that's fine, I'm of the belief that why bother doing the collection if you can't ship it with everything that made it Gears? I think it's a pretty big concession to have, and I do think that it's good to offer Gears fans that same option that Halo fans had. When Halo Infinite was not what they wanted in some ways, they got to hop off of Halo Infinite, and if you're Xbox, you're winning either way, because guess what? They went to Master Chief Collection, and for a lot of people, and I understand why it feels this way, it was an act of defiance, but if like you're a business, you're like, okay, you're spending money and time over here instead of over there, we still count the dollar bills up, y'all. So that's why I look at it and go, you should probably provide the option, just as like, instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you now have the opportunity to have, if you will, a fallback option if people don't like the new Gears multiplayer, which has happened before. The other question with this Gears collection is, do you include Judgment? Do you include 4? Do you include 5? I don't think these make the cut, at least not right away. And the reason I feel that way is because if you're doing this as Gears of War E-Day prep, which I think no doubt it is, this is a prequel story about Marcus and Dom. And while the story there does contribute to the later entries like 4 and 5, 5 does end on a cliffhanger that I wonder if Coalition will ever pick up. But also, the story that they're really building into is what made Gears so popular. Now, I think Coalition's done a fine job carrying the torch from Gears 3 into 4 and 5. My only real problem is that now it's been so long since Gears 5, which ended on that cliffhanger, that I'm like, why are y'all backing away from this? You should have made a choice. Now you're leaving us hanging here and you're going back all the way to the beginning instead of what we all thought was going to happen in Gears 6. But I'm not going to complain because guess what? Marcus and Dom are back. And frankly, I wanted that a lot more than whatever was happening in 6. It was more just a morbid curiosity of how are you guys going to handle the rest of this story? So I do think this collection is just going to be 1, 2, and 3. Maybe Judgment gets added in later. I also think that would be good to have there. You know, I don't want to have the Gears collection have this sort of Arkham moment, right? Where like Rocksteady always acknowledged like, yes, of course, the Arkham trilogy, right? That's what you're talking about. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight. That is the Arkham trilogy, right? They're like, yo, what about WB Montreal's Arkham Origins? That game's fire. We like that one too. They're like, what are you talking about? And so as much as I know Judgment is the black sheep of the franchise, and I get why it's not my favorite Gears game, I do hope it gets included, again, because you want to sell the entirety of Gears and what made it the franchise it is. And more content, more fun in this case. You know, these collections are always a good time. So I hope it is a series-spanning celebration of what Gears is. And then, in a perfect world, maybe you eventually get the Gears 4 and 5 added in as bonuses, maybe paid bonuses, that sort of thing, where, again, they expand sort of like the Master Chief Collection did. I think what made the Master Chief Collection so special was the legs that it had. The unsuspecting legs, by the way. At first, we all thought broken at launch, patch it up, fix it, but they just kept giving back and giving back and giving back, adding new progression systems in and everything. They really just did such a fine job with it long term. Again, I know the launch was bad, so I hope Gears does go that route. But I do wonder if there's a world where Xbox is like, we don't want to risk that again. And do you take the safe route because you need to introduce this to a broader audience and you can't risk it breaking, so you take that safer option of like no multiplayer? It's a good question to ask, and so I'm just hoping for the best possible Gears collection, and to me, the best possible Gears collection is that sort of 1, 2, 3 with Judgment as well, and it has the multiplayer, it has the Horde mode, that sort of thing. Now, am I going to be upset if it doesn't have PvP? A little bit, but I kind of treat it like where I'm at right now with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 remake, where 4 is one of my favorites growing up. Am I disappointed to hear that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 is leaving behind the traditional career mode that you'd find in the original games? Honestly, yeah, it's a big bummer to me. That was one of the main reasons I love that game, but am I still going to go out and play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake? Absolutely. Am I still excited for it? Absolutely. So, yeah, it matters. And maybe I find myself in a similar pocket of a lot of other people online. It matters, but not so much that it would push me away from it. But I think we should fight for not just, that's good enough, but like what would really exceed our expectations. So I hope that Xbox and whomever is working on this really does over deliver and give us what I view as bare essentials plus the obvious technical glow up. But let me know what you're thinking about this rumor. It's interesting to see, again, the leapfrog over the fact that, oh, it actually is happening. It might be coming very soon. When does that get announced is the other question. I think it's going to be, again, I'm pointing at the Switch 2 event because I just think this is going to be major Xbox presence. Like, what better statement to make about your multi-platform push than during the Nintendo Switch 2 event and say, Halo's on the way, Gears is on the way, Forza's on the way. Like the burger, fries, and shake combo, as my lovely co-host Lord Cognito always puts it. Like, to me, that would be a statement. And that would just be insane on a whole other level. So those are my thoughts. I've gone on long enough. I'd love to hear from you about the Gears of War collection. Fire away down below. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.